This question says solve the following equation by factoring. So the equation is 9x squared minus 12x plus 4 equals 0. The first part is to rewrite the equation in completely factored form. So we need to first write this in factored form. So let's take a look at the problem here. So here we first need to make sure that it's in standard form. Remember that standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c, and that's equal to 0. So if we take a look at this problem, we're going to go ahead and write that here. We have 9x squared minus 12x plus 4, and that is equal to 0, and we can see that is in standard form. Now the next question is, can we factor anything out of those terms? So is there anything that's common amongst all those three terms? And we don't see anything there. So now the next step is to now factor this by using the AC method. Okay, now the value of A is 9 and the value of C is 4. So 9 times 4 is going to give us 36. Step number 2. Now we create an X. We have AC, the value of AC is going to go on the top of the X, and the value of B is going to go to the bottom there. So we know that we got 36 for AC, and if we look at the middle coefficient, it is negative 12. So now we need to figure out what are two numbers that when we multiply them together, it's going to give us positive 36. When we add them together, it's going to give us negative 12. Well, we're going to use the prime factorization. We know that we already multiplied 4 times 9. But see, when we add them together, it's not going to give us 12. So let's go ahead and try the following. We have 4, which breaks down to be 2, and then 2. Okay, 9 times 2 is 18. And 18 minus 2 gives us 16, so it's not going to work there. So let's try 9 and break that down to be 3 and then 3. Okay? So if we have 2 times 3, that gives us 6. And then 2 times 3 is going to give us 6. So if they were both negative and we would add them together, it would give us negative 12. If we multiply them together, it's going to give us positive 36. So now we can go ahead and then continue. So we have 9x squared. That's going to be minus 6x. And then another minus 6x. And then plus 4. And now we're going to factor by separating the first two terms and the last two terms. Now, what is the greatest common factor that we can factor out of the first two terms? Well, it's going to be 3x. And then what's left is 3x minus 2. Now what's left over here is also 3x minus 2. Now what can we multiply to get 3x, to get negative 6x from 3x? Well, that's negative 2. What do we need to multiply by negative 2 to get 4? That is negative 2. So if you notice here, when we factor this out, we end up getting 3x minus 2 times 3x minus 2. And that is the factored form. So in step number 2, this is the completed factored form. 3x minus 2 times 3x minus 2, and that's equal to 0. Okay, now I'm going to show you a trick here for this one. You have 9x squared minus 12x plus 4. Okay, so I want you to take a look and concentrate on the first term and the last term. Okay, so if we take a look at the first term, okay, instead of having to go through the AC method, we're going to say, okay, what do I need to factor to get 9x squared? Well, that's 3x. And then what do I need to factor to get 4? Like, what do I need to multiply to get 4? Well, that's 2. Now, what is the sign here? Well, the sign is negative. So technically, this is the same thing as saying, okay, A minus B times A minus B, which is the same thing as saying 3x minus 2 times 3x minus 2. Now, the only thing that's going to allow us to verify it if we go this step is to do the following. Okay, now if we take a look at A and B, we know that A was equal to 3x. We know that B is equal to 2. And then we need to multiply it by the negative 2. And what I mean by that is because whenever you look at a perfect square trinomial, a perfect square trinomial is always going to be in this form. It's going to be ax squared, okay, and then it's going to be minus 2 times abx plus b squared, okay? So if you notice here, this -2 is what we're multiplying to check to see if we get that middle term. So 3x times 2 times -2 is going to give us -12x, and therefore it verifies the factored form. So we get 3x minus 2 times 3x minus 2, and now we're going to go ahead and then put the factored form in here. So we have parentheses 3x minus 2, parentheses, and another parentheses, 3x minus 2. And then let's check our answer, and there is our result. And now we need to find the solution, okay? So that means now we got to use the zero factor property. So now we have 3x minus 2 equals 0, or 3x minus 2 equals 0. If we solve for x, we get add 2 to both sides, and we get 3x, which is equal to 2. Divide both sides by 3, and then x is equal to 2/3. Over here, if we add 2 to both sides, again, we get 3x, which is equal to 2. Divide both sides by 3, and x is equal to 2/3. So that means we're getting two solutions. Two solutions that's the same, right? So technically, it's only one solution, but it's a double solution. So the only solution to this particular problem is 2/3. So let's go ahead and put in our answer here. We got our fraction 2 and then thirds. Let's check our result. And there is our answer.